doing this December afternoon? Yes, welcome to the Skill Up Show. Who is in the house with me? Welcome to the Skill Up Show, where we that show where we talk about parenting. Yes, especially for parents of turn it off first before you do that. Sorry. All right, welcome to the Skill Up Show, that show where we talk, we share tips on how parents of young children and preteens can embark on their parenting journey with all of the support that they need. Yes, parenting is not a walk in the park, but yes, there is a lot that you can do to make your parenting exceptional. There's a lot you can do to give your children the parenting advantage. Yes, it may not be easy, but it is doable. Yes, it may not be a walk in the park, but it's something that we can win at. And we are winning every day. One place. We are winning every day, and you can win every day if you are ready to embark on this journey and you are ready to believe that there is a way. Dear parents, there is a way to parent the kind of child that you want to parent if you are ready for the work. So it is established that we cannot do parenting without doing the work. Parenting is work. Parenting is hard work, and we have to put in the hard work. But then again, we are not people who are not used to hard work. We do a lot of hard work. We do a lot of hard work in our companies. We do a lot of hard work in our businesses. We do a lot of hard work in other aspects of our lives. Why do we not want to consolidate? Why do we not want to put in the work when it comes to parenting our children, who happen to be the most important people in our lives? Today, we're looking at consolidation. Yes, we're looking at consolidation in parenting, consolidation when we are talking about our children. We're looking at how we can help our children how we can help our children embark on a journey of self-discovery. Dear parents, your journey is not your child's journey. We need to understand this. Your journey is different from your child's journey. So yes, your child may be, you may be directing your child, you may be leading your child in many ways. You definitely are leading your child, you're guiding your child, you are all of this to your child, but your child's journey is not your journey. Just give me a second, please. We're doing a bit of housekeeping there. All right, sorry about that. Yes, so I was saying, dear parents, your child's journey is not your journey, and your journey is not your child's journey. Yes, you have the role that you're playing in the life of your child, one of which is you're guiding your child, isn't it? Yes, you're a custodian. Yes, you are a custodian. God has given you custody of this child, and you're going to give account of this child someday, isn't it? So you're a custodian, you're guiding the child. And if you are spiritual, you should know by now that you have been given the mandate as the warrior in the life of your child, and your child the weapon in your hands, and you are to shoot that weapon in the way that it should go. So yes, you are the man that is a man in the gates of your home, man in the gates, of your home, and manning the gates around your child's life to ensure that you are protecting them, to ensure that you are making them safe, and you are giving them the safety that they need, especially when they are too young to give themselves that safety, or to provide that safety for themselves. And this safety can be spiritual, can be physical, can be mental. Okay, it is all encompassing. All right, so when I say consolidation, when I say our children need to embark on a journey of consolidation, what am I talking about? Hi Obe, how are you doing? Hello Rita, if you are with us, please say something in the comments. Let us know that we have got company. And if you're catching the replay, let us also know where you are joining us from, and if this is your first time of joining us on the Skill Up Show. So what is consolidation? Let's just do a definition of what the word consolidation means. Consolidation means an action of making something stronger or more solid. All right. So the action of making something stronger or more solid is the meaning of the word consolidation. It can also be defined as the action or the process of combining a number of things into a single effective coherent whole. This is what consolidation is. Now let's take this and bring it to parenting. All right. So let's analyze this together. Do you think that there is a need at some point for you to consolidate, or for you to direct your child to begin to consolidate? Do you think that there is a need at some point to bring your child together, all that they know, all that you've taught them, all they've been taught in school, all they've been taught by their pastors and their imams and everybody that has been a part of their life, their coaches, their mentors, all of that? Is there a time that you need to bring all of that, and the child would have to consolidate all of this, make all of this a whole, so that your child can use this to begin to direct their own lives? Is there a time like that? Do you agree that there has to be, or there needs to be a time like that? The action of the process of combining all that they know, all that they've learned, all that they've been trained over the years, right? And bringing them into what? Into a single, effective, coherent whole. So I strongly believe that this is something, it is a journey that we need to enact. It's a journey that we need to activate in our children as early as possible. That our children know that there is a time in their lives when they would have to take all that they have been taught. You know how it is that they go to church, and there's an aspect of their life that the church is strengthening. It's trying to strengthen their spiritual, awareness, right? We're teaching them in church, we're teaching them in our spiritual places, basically the mosque, the church, if you're Hindu, all of your worship places and all of the ideology of your religion. What it is all gearing towards is to teach your child about the spirituality, the spiritual part of their lives, and how they can be the best version, right? The best version of, I'm a Christian, so let me talk from that perspective. All right, so you are teaching them how they can be Christ-like. You're teaching them how they can be and live a Christ-like life. So to model after Jesus Christ, isn't it? Now, as that spiritual part of their lives, you are doing something as a parent. The church is helping you in all of your spiritual gatherings, in all of that aspect of their life, kingdom life, spirituality, and all of that. The goal is to help them build a personal relationship with God, to help them know the purpose for which they are on earth, to help them, put all of that together. Now, when they go to school, the school has got its own role in their lives, isn't it? The school is aiming to educate your child. The school is aiming to educate your child and make the child, a relevant citizen, right, in the world, and all of that. So the school is teaching the children all of the concepts that they will need to apply in life in order for them to thrive, basically. So that's the role of the school. Now you take them to mentors, and of course, when you get to mentors, you have what it is that you're looking for. So the question is, what are you looking for? Or are you the person that doesn't even think that you need to take them to those people? When they go to church, okay, and the church will help them with their spiritual life, they come to school and the school will help them with their academic pursuits, okay, and all of that. Then they come home and then you add the morals. You think this is it, it's done? Or are you someone that is seeking more? You're seeking more for your children, or you feel that there are other areas that you would want your children to get knowledge. Now, at some point, your children will have to start putting all of this together. Okay, this is the point where I say this is consolidation. This is consolidation where you direct the child to the point where the child becomes aware. So the word there is the awareness. Because yes, right from the beginning, whether your child goes to a formal school, or your child even has a religion, or you have a religion yourself, or if you even worship, outside of your home and all of that, your ultimate goal is actually to raise a child that can thrive. Your ultimate goal is to raise a child that can be the best version of themselves, live their purpose, live a full life, live a full life, and of course be be satisfied with the life that they are living. You want the best for your child. You want your child that can, I mean, it depends on what it is that you want. That are your values. But if you ask me now, I want to raise a child that can be the best version of themselves, a child that will create solutions for the world and impact the world, a child that will live a wholesome life, right? The child that is wholesome and will live a wholesome life, a child whose life is exuberant, basically, a child whose life is fulfilling, basically. And in all of this, the child is able to make a difference in the world. Now, I want to raise this kind of child. Now, in raising this kind of child, at what point will this move from this being my intention? At what point is this going to move from this being what I want or what the vision is that I have seen when I started planning the life of this child, to this child believing in what it is that I want for him, to this child seeing what I want for him as relevant? At what point would the child key into this at what point would the child key into this vision that I have for them? At what point would the child begin to see the tangibility of my vision? At what point is this going to be authentic to the child? At what point is the child going to start self-motivating? At what point are they going to start motivating themselves, right, to achieve all of this? Because the mistake that some of us make is we don't come to the realization that at some point the child will have to own this. And the earlier they own this, the better for us. The earlier they own this, the better for them. If not, you will be on auto driving the whole system. And one day you will realize you have a 20-year-old that doesn't have a personal vision. A 30-year-old or 20-year-old that has not aligned with the vision that you say you have for them. So this is the reason that we have children, that we have our teenagers, and we are constantly, it's always, we're loggerheads at all times. Most times, okay, if you check, the more squabbles you have with your teenagers, the more disagreements you have with your teenagers, the more likely it is that your teenager does not align with your vision for their lives. So the more disparity between you, what you want and what they want, then the more understanding, you should have as a parent, that this child does not share my vision yet. This child still does not understand what it is that I am doing here or that we are doing here. This child does not trust in whatever plans, whatever vision that I have for them. Now, if you don't see this as a problem, then I don't know what parenting is to you. Because really, parenting is about what? First of all, it's about us. But what is it that we are parenting? Why are we parenting in the first place? What's the goal of our parenting? The goal of our parenting is, just as we have been called, right? I'm going to go back to my beliefs. Just as we've been called as Christians, the Bible says that our children, we are like warriors, isn't it? You are like a warrior, and your child is a weapon in your hand. And so you are going to shoot that arrow, isn't it? The child is like an arrow in your hand, and it is your responsibility to shoot that arrow in the way that the arrow should go. So basically, one of your role is to direct the child in the way that the child should go. There's another scripture like that, isn't it? That says we should train up a child in the way that the child should go, and they won't depart from it. So meaning, it is your responsibility. You have been called as a parent to train up your child in the way that they should go. So meaning, you should have a vision of the way that they should go. Isn't it? You should have some vision of the way that they should go. And that vision doesn't necessarily have to be what is good for you. It's a vision that you would have sorted from God. It's the vision that you would see with the child that is in your hand. Through knowing the child, understanding who your child is, seeking from God, then you would know where it is that your child should go. Because you can't have 10 children and point them all in one way, isn't it? So with seeking from God and then understanding the person that you are parenting, then you will know which way you should shoot this particular arrow and which way this arrow should go. So it's your responsibility as a parent to know all of this. So if you as a parent are shooting your arrow in a particular direction and the arrow is refused to go in that direction, or if you are trying to shoot the arrow in a particular position and you do not even know how to position yourself or how to shoot that thing or how to aim for where you're going, then you are not in sync or you are not accomplishing what it is that is your goal. So every time your child, when you notice that your children grow older and you notice that you are constantly at, disagreeing, you're constantly at loggerheads, it means that you are not in sync. This arrow is not following the shooter. This arrow does not believe in your vision. This arrow does not know where it is that you are leading them to. It means that there is a challenge. You need to stop and recognize or try to understand what it is that you are doing that is not allowing you and your child become one, or it's not allowing your child believe in your vision, that is not allowing your child align with your vision or something. There has to be something. So you need to start looking at what that is. Many times it could just be that our vision is not clear. So that's number one thing that could make it difficult for your child to run with your vision. It could be that you probably don't even have one. So many of us parents, and we do not have the goal for in our parenting, we don't have a goal. We don't have where we're going to. We don't have what it is that that we want. We don't know where we're going to. We don't know for sure, for certain. Okay, we don't know what it is we want for the children. And so what happens? We are all over the place. So one day this is okay. The next day this is not okay. Okay? The next day this is not okay. They come, you're moving in a direction and then you see some other person, your sister, your friend, someone that you know is doing something else. And then you come and you want to turn everything around and move everybody to a direction that you did not plan. Nobody knew this was coming. All of a sudden, you just wake up because it is okay for you. You want to change the trajectory of everybody's life. Now, when you are this kind of parent, it's not very easy to follow your vision because there is no direction. The vision is not clear. Isn't it the scripture that says we should write down the vision, right? So that everyone that sees can run with it. So if you have not written down a vision, your children cannot align with that vision. And so there is nothing to run with as a family. So that could be one of the reasons why your children are not running with you. And that could be one of the reasons why you are always at loggerheads with your children, especially the ones that are beginning to come to the consciousness of who they are. They are now aware of themselves, okay? And they are now aware of their individuality. So because, of course, you do not have a clear vision, it's hard to believe you. Number two, when you are confusing the children, what you say is different from what it is that you live. Double standards. You are one person at home, you're another person outside. You're one person in church, you're another person when you come home. You mount the pulpit as a minister, you mount the pulpit as someone, a brethren in church, and you're saying one thing. Oh, you're a parent coach, or you're a team coach, or you are whatever coach you are. Oh, you put on your ring light and you sit in front of your ring light and you talk, and your child is passing and listening and is wondering, what is she saying? That thing she's saying is what she does in this house. Why is she telling other people not to do it? So you see why it becomes difficult for your arrow to go with you, because, hey, at this point, you are confusing them. So when you are a parent who is living a double standard, it is difficult for your children to align. So when you are that parent that is doing one thing, how can you be all over the place, with alcohol, with this today? How can you be that parent that is constantly indulging? Okay, you're constantly indulging. Your children come to you today. Oh, there's no money. And then the next day, this is you with all kinds of human hair. And they are wondering what's going on here. I thought they said there's no money, and then all of a sudden they say this hair is 500,000 naira. What's going on here? So if you are saying one thing basically and you are leaving another thing, you are not going to have your children aligned. If you're a parent that is very superficial, you are very materialistic, okay, your children can see how your life is all about things. Your life is you are a person of things. Everything about you is things. Your children watch you and they see that when you have money, your life is good and your life is happy and nobody remembers God. The moment you begin to get broke, or the moment you don't have money to throw around, then they see you begin to hold on to God and pray up and down the place. Then you wake up tomorrow and you begin to tell them about your God, and you begin to try and force them to go with you to church. Now you remember we have to go for midweek service, we have to go for this, we have to go for that, only because things are now tough. And then, of course, there's another, after that season, there's a season where there's plenty again, and everybody's relaxing, nobody's talking about church, nobody's talking about this thing seriously. And then somewhere along the line, something goes wrong again, and you're there, and then you think this time they will follow you. They will not follow you, because the double standard is way too much. So your children, so this is one of the reasons why your children are finding it hard, or they will find it hard to follow us when we are people who are, living these double standards. Number three is when you do not even model anything to your child, or basically what you're doing. There is no scripting for what it is that you're saying to them. So what you're telling your children to do is totally vague, because they can't see it in practical terms. So you talk about this, you talk about that, but in practical terms, it does not apply in your lives. It doesn't apply in your life. It's only when you want to scold them, and then you will come and you talk about what every other person is doing. Oh, in this house, we cannot even sit down and eat together like a family. We can't do that. Go to other homes. They sit, they eat, they have conversations as a family. You are angry, you are pissed off, and this is what you're saying. Then the next day, there is no system to help you sit as a family. You do nothing when it comes to creating the system or creating the structure that can help you create that family system or structure or family tradition that you're talking about. But when it is time to talk about it, when it is time to discuss it, you will talk. Especially this one, shout out to all of us. Those of us who are into one parenting academy or the other, one accountability system or the other. I hope, by the way, that you are in one accountability system as a parent, okay? Let me invite you to my own. You should come to the Inner Circle with Coach Wendy, right? TIP Inner Circle. So shout out to those of us who belong to one circle or the other, or one academy or the other. So you go to this academy, you get all the knowledge, you get all of this, and I'm calling myself out too because I've been there in the past. You go, you get all the knowledge and all of that, and then after that, the knowledge has become theory. So you will talk about it in theoretical terms, and you will not do the work to establish this in your home. So it is only when the children go wrong that you go, pa, 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 pa. You talk about it, but there is no reality in it. So they cannot connect with it because it is vague. Children do not know how to connect with things that are vague. So these are some of the reasons why it's very difficult for your child to align. You are in a home where it is highly unstable. Your children hear you and your husband, or you and your wife, you and your spouse constantly on each other's neck. They hear you constantly disagreeing about anything and everything. And then they are having conflicts with their siblings, and you are screaming and shouting and telling them about who you are as a family, our values. You can't be like this. What are you talking about? They cannot relate. They cannot relate. So these are some of the things that make it very difficult for our children to actually align with our vision and run with our vision, because our vision is not clear, okay, or there is no vision at all. There is none. Now, when there is no standard, basically, there are no standards, there are no standards on grounds, there are no values that, is effective. All right. So basically, there is no modus operandi, there is no template that we are following. Basically, it becomes difficult for your children to align or to even understand what it is that they should be doing. One day it's this way, the other day is that way. So when you don't create a system in your home, when you have not put together a structure in your home, when there are no policies that state, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, basically when there is no standard, it becomes difficult for your children to align with you, or your children to believe in the tangibility of your vision. So these are some of the reasons why it will be difficult for your child to follow. This is one of the these are the reasons that it's difficult for your child to follow. It's the reason why it's difficult for your child to, see what it is that you're going to, or what it is that you want. So you realize that there is hardly going to be consolidation in this kind of system, because you will continue to micromanage your home. You will continue to micromanage your child. So it's going to be how you feel on Monday, and it's going to be how you feel next week. In December, it's going to be how you feel. If in December you're going through a hard patch, then everything around your home is going to be really hard. Everybody is going to be in that gloomy mood because you are going through a hard patch. So there is no consolidation. Everybody is practically living your life. Everybody is running with your flow, because nobody is running their own journey. Everybody is running your journey with you, because you are the parent, you are the home, you are the journey. So there is no consolidation. So what are we going to do, and why do we need to have a system in our home where each of us has a journey and each of us is running our journey? Now, in that journey, each of us running our journey, there has to be a way that we will align. And that alignment is why we sit as a family and create a plan together. That alignment is why we have our family values that become our standard as a family. That alignment is why we have a family system that allows us sit together as a family to review our journey every now and then. That alignment is why you have your family meeting. That alignment is why you have your family traditions. That alignment is why you have honor as part of your family, as part of your everyday life in your family. So that alignment is why you have your perspective as a parent. Okay, as a parent, I have said this and I'll keep saying this. One of the best gifts that you can give to your children is the gift of your perspective. Your perspective is what will help your children wade through the confusion of this world. There is so much confusion going on around us. Yes, so much confusion going around us, such that if you do not offer your children your perspective, and you do not add to that perspective tangibility, then you will point your children to be confused, because the society will tell your children, or will sell a narrative to your children, and your children will run with this narrative. What do I mean by perspective? So your children go out there, there are all this ideology, there are all of these philosophies going on. Oh, today is LGBTQ. Tomorrow is how we should what is rich. I mean, what is riches, right? Tomorrow it is what it is that you can do that is okay or it's not okay, right? So your children have all of these things flowing around their head, and yet you are not adding your perspective, or you are not having conversations with them on your perspective on these things. Now, because you have left this vacuum, and these things are real life issues that are going on around your children will feel their curiosity on this subject. And so if you don't have a system in your home where you can have conversations around subjects like this, and you can share your perspective on this subject, then what happens is there is a vacuum there, and someone will fill it for your child. I wrote a post, I don't know if it's up, yeah. I read a post about, so let's take, for instance, let me share you one perspective, or one way you can share perspective with your children. Now, there was a day the kids and I have my kids 13 and 8, we're coming back from church, and we had passed in front of a DSTV office, and so there were pictures of, it was when the Big Brother Nigeria was going on. All right, so there were pictures of the housemates, all over the place and all that, And so my husband and I, of course, we were in front, and I'm like, oh, this Big Brother, because back in the day, the very first Big Brother, I watched the first Big Brother. That was where I was in my journey, right? So this is not about Big Brother. So don't even come here and come and ask me questions about whether it's good or bad. Do your Big Brother if you're doing your Big Brother. But hey, so that year I had watched Big Brother, the year that Ebuka, right? Ebuka and Katun, all of these people, some of them I knew personally, and all of that. So the conversation came up, and I said something about Big Brother. I'm like, wow, see how Ebuka has, right? Ebuka, yeah. See how Ebuka has, taken this platform, blah, 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 and all of that, And in that conversation, my husband said something like, I can't remember the whole, scope of that conversation anyway. But basically, my husband said something like, Ebuka, when Big Brother, it's something that, went towards the fact that, what you do in Big Brother is dependent on you. Like some people can go into that show and make the best of the show, and other people can go there and, portray or, as in, basically go with a different narrative, and all that. So the kids were behind and were listening to the conversation. And I was like, I was of the belief that now, but then again, I think that Big Brother has got Big Brother has got a vision upon which it is built. It has a vision upon which it is running. There is a vision, there is a mission to that program. There is a mission, there is a vision to that program, and there is a principle upon which that program is running, and all that, And we like conversations like that. My husband was like, yeah, but he still believes strongly that you can go there and, run your own narrative and all that. Our son from behind was like, Dad, can I say something? And then he said, but I strongly believe that, for a show, he lives in this world now, so he knows that there's something like Big Brother. He doesn't watch Big Brother, but he knows that there's something like Big Brother, and we've talked about why Big Brother is not a show that shows in our home. It can show in your home. This conversation is not about Big Brother, okay? But for the record, Big Brother doesn't show in our home, right? For our own reasons, okay? So we had the conversation why this show doesn't show in our home and all of that. And he said in that conversation, he said, but Dad, that show has got a narrative. That show has got a principle behind it. So it's two things. That you either align with the principle or whatever it is that is the vision of the show, or you don't. So if the show does not align with your values, then you do not have any business being in that show. Bagam. So if the show does not align, so basically you are saying, oh, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that, I don't believe in the things that no one is sent out of the house for, isn't it? So I said to him, for instance, when these people fight and they hit each other, what do they get? They get sent away. So it means that as far as the vision of that show goes, violence in that way, you can call people all kinds of names and do all of that. Just don't use your hand and slap somebody, because the moment you do so, you see that coming outright and hitting someone in their face does not align with the vision of that show. Every other thing that you see going on there aligns. So it's two things. You are either aligning with that show because these visions are, the vision is, aligns with your vision, or you are not. So everything is about what? Perspective. So now this is it. What we have done with him, what has happened that you're seeing there is his perspective. This is the perspective that we have shared with him. Now, if we don't have this conversation with him, if we don't have this conversation, we don't talk about these things, we avoid them, or we just tell ourselves it's not necessary. What happens is you do not get to give your child the perspective, or you have, okay? And of course, as I said, don't just have the perspective, make sure that your perspective is tangible, is believable. Make sure that your perspective is not coming from a place of emotions. Your perspective is coming from a place of reasoning, of facts. something that you can sell concretely to your child, and your child can connect and your child can believe in. So I want to believe that I have been able to, or I've been able to sell this, my perspective on this matter with our son. And so this is the conversation he would have when this comes up with his friends, okay, and all of that. Now, in sharing our perspective, because of what our values are, we do not ever come from a place of discrimination, okay? So this is our perspective. So when his friends choose to, he's not going to say to them, it is wrong or it is right. To you and yours and your values. So that's why you heard me say this conversation is not about the show. To you, to yours and your values. Do you understand? So to you, to yours and your values, basically. Very, very key. So you have to give your children the gift of perspective. Someone asked this question and I didn't get to, answer the question directly in the group, from yesterday. So I hope she's able to catch this replay and then see this. So this is it. So this is how you should have your children have your perspective on several issues, every issue possible. And there is an amazing way to have your children know your perspective or get your perspective on these things. There's a very, great way. Get your children to read books with them, okay? Books are an amazing way to feel your perspective on something without even having to sound like you are criticizing anybody or like you are scolding anybody, because it simply means we have a book before us, and based on the conversation on the book, I am sharing my perspective. So write a list of things that you would want to. You are in this world. Your children are in the world. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what ideologies or what perspective, ideology or philosophy you have about things. It doesn't matter. You could say, I'm a Christian. Oh, I will not allow my children see this or see that. There's no need hiding them. Your children cannot conquer a world that they do not understand. Let me repeat that. Your child cannot rule. Your child cannot conquer. Your child cannot create solutions for a world that they do not understand. So it is your responsibility not to shield your child from the things that are going on in the world. What you can do to your child is gift them the gift of perspective. So talk about these things, okay, but talk about it with the gift of your perspective. It's your perspective that will allow your child raise their head up and then say, in the midst of, there was a time our son was the only one in his class that didn't have a phone. He was the only one in his class that didn't have a phone. And, the day he said he didn't have a phone, his friends, some people were like, which rock? Under which rock do you live? And all of that. And someone tried to push it a bit further, and, tried to make him feel bad. And he turned to the person and said, sorry, don't be angry. What do you know? As in, what do you know with your phone that I don't know? Like, what relevant thing do you know that I don't know? So it is your perspective that will allow your child stand in the midst of 1,000 people and is not afraid to be different. It's your perspective. So don't raise children who are completely novices, okay? They don't have to be novices, okay? Let the gift of perspective, help them understand the why, okay, and all of that. This is very, very key. All right, so this is what we're talking about today. We're looking at why your children should consolidate, why you should raise your children to start their own journey as early as possible, so that your children are not, everybody is not auto running with you and what it is that you believe in, so that it's not just all about you. It is everybody understanding that they have a purpose, everybody understanding that they have a life, everybody understanding that they have a duty, everybody understanding that they are the most important person in their own life. And so the choices that they make, they will be the first beneficiary of the choices that they make in their lives. Very, very key. All right, so let me give you a few reasons why you should have your children consolidate or start the journey of consolidation. Someone has asked me at some point, at what age should your children? See, at every point, let your children have an idea of where it is that you are going to. So as a parent, at every point, at a level, I mean, at an age appropriate, in an age appropriate way, let your children know and let your children begin to make baby steps towards whatever it is that you are, I mean, whatever vision you have for their life or wherever it is that you are going to. Very, very key. So consolidation begins from day one. Consolidation begins as early as possible. Okay, so there is a point where yes, you are having conversations based on what your child can understand. There is a point that you are teaching your child, your 2-year-old probably, how to how to be at peace with his friend that he plays with in a compound. So there is that part. We basically do some of these things, right? As African parents, we do some of these things. It's just that we don't have a system that allows us do these things all through the life of our children. So it's when our children are little, we tell them, oh, don't do that. Don't hit this person. We don't tell them the why anyway. Don't hit this person. So we just send out commands and commands and commands. We don't give our children the why. Okay, so you need to understand the place of the why. Okay, when a person knows the reason for a thing, okay, it becomes more authentic. So let your children know why they shouldn't and let them understand why they should make the decision not so. All right, so the child doesn't want to share a toy. Oh, okay, I understand how important your toy is to you. Okay, but imagine that you don't have a toy one day and your friend has 4. Okay, would you like him to give you one? Yeah, okay, maybe then you should learn to give him one when he doesn't have 2. Okay, but basically do it when you have to. That's what you're trying to say to the child. So the moment you continue to ring this, the next day he does the same thing. You still have 3 and you're not sharing today. I don't think that's very fair. I mean, I've been in a situation where I had 4 stuff in my office. My colleague didn't have. I had to give her one because let your children see the why. Don't force them. Come on, give him the toy. When you do all of that, they never come around to seeing. They just see you as bullying them. And the day you are not there to bully them to give, they will not give because it is you. It is your journey. It is never their journey. It's not about them understanding and them being a part of these things. It's all about you. So see, now you're already having this child come into that place of consolidation by understanding. You're trying to get the child to the point where the child begins to act towards the next child from a place of empathy. So that's why you're sharing with the child your experience and you're saying to the child, I mean, I think it would be a great idea that you have 4 stuff, okay, and someone doesn't have a single one. I think it's just really kind that you share with them. Okay, this is you giving the child the opportunity to still make that decision to share on their own. So you will realize at one point, because it is nature, it is natural, okay, your child would look at the toys and pick the ugliest one or the smallest one, okay, and hand it. It is something he's at least handed it. Okay, as you continue with this, conversations, not forcing, not judging, not dragging, not bullying them. Okay, you will get to the point where your child, and then of course you model it also. So after that, the next time you have something, okay, it could be like you've just gone to buy pizza. You can actually come and you'll be like, do you want some? Okay, you actually share. As you're sharing with him, you say, can you see, mommy just got this and I really don't have to give you, but look at how I'm sharing with you. Okay, so can you remember the other time with Danny? Okay, Danny, then you refuse to share. It's the same thing. I can take this pizza and not give you, right? But see, I'm willing to share with you. I think you should, look at this and also learn to share with Danny. You would realize that as you keep having this conversation, your child will get to the point where your child will willingly, okay, the what do you call it? What you have trained in the child will get to the point, the lesson about empathy will get to the point that it outweighs the child's natural instincts not to give. So we say that the brain is a relational organ. So the part of your brain that allows your child to make these decisions about empathy, about control their emotions, basically empathy, their cognitive ability, social connections, that part of the brain that allows your child to do this on their own is not fully developed until your child is somewhere in their mid 20s, somewhere around 25, 26. So But because the brain is a relational organ, the brain, that part of the brain, is going to mature at the speed of the relationship in the child's environment. So let's say it's the maturity of that brain, right? That part of the brain, this is not scientific, I'm just trying to put some logic to it. Let's say the way that part of the brain matures is, like, say, on a scale of 1 to 10. So for a child that has a parent or adults in their lives that understand these things we're talking about, we're sharing right now, understands the place of not forcing the child, understands the place of the child starting their journey and consolidating, meaning the child taking all that you are teaching and the child begins to embrace it and the child begins to live it on their own, not you forcing them, not you practically telling them what to do all the time. So if you find yourself as a parent telling your 12-year-old, your 14-year-old, your 15-year-old when to go and bath, when to dress, when to this, when to read, your child has not embarked on the journey of consolidation. Your child is not putting all that they know together and beginning to direct and lead their lives with it. You are still practically controlling their lives. They still depend on you. Their umbilical cord is still tied to you somehow. Do you understand? Now, if you are this person in this relationship with your child, okay, I said the brain is a relational organ. How you relate with your child is going to imprint in, the natural architecture and how fast that part of the brain, grows. So you could actually have a child that is 15 and the maturity of that child's prefrontal cortex is at a level of a 22-year-old, just because of the kind of relationship, right, that you have fostered and how you have helped the maturity of that part of the brain. So yes, that part of the brain does not fully mature till the child is about 25, but each of us does not have it matured at the same level. Do you understand? It's not a function of your age. The maturity of it is not the level that you are at. It's not exactly, commensurate with what it is that is your age. No, now a child that is growing up in an environment where there is a lot of chaos, an environment where there's a lot of chaos, a lot of a lot of shock, a lot of chaos, a lot of shock, a lot of stress, and all of that. Now the hormones that is needed for that brain part of the brain to grow, to grow normally and all of that, okay, the hormones that is responsible for this is not released all the time because the child has too many negative experiences in their environment. So instead of the hormones that will help the prefrontal cortex to grow, the ones that inhibit the prefrontal cortex is what is released in your child's brain as a result of stress and all of these other things that comes with the nature of chaos in your environment. So a child that is constantly being shouted at, when you shout at the child, that part of the brain just blocks immediately. It does not allow any learning to happen at the point where you are yelling and shouting and all of that. The child that when the child falls, you are not there, okay, to support the child. Instead, you are beating the child for climbing. I told you not to climb. Pa, pa, pa. At that point, that part of the brain shuts down. Okay, so the happy feeling, all that is needed for the child that part to grow is not happening because you're constantly shutting that part of the brain by the way you're parenting the child and all of that, right? The child that is not sharing, instead of you to relate with the child and make them understand so that they begin to understand and begin to act, based on this understanding, you come and you force, you shout, you do all of this, you bully them, that part of it. So you are not allowing that part of the brain grow as it should grow because of the kind of relationship you have with your child in your environment. So you can actually alter all of this. That's what we're talking about. All right. So yes, consolidation will happen when there is the atmosphere for consolidation, and you as a parent, you understand this journey and how you should go about it. Then you begin to lead the child to make decisions, right, that are informed decisions, basically, right, that will begin to impact their life and help them begin to take initiative on their own, help them direct themselves, help them self motivates, and all of that. And when that happens, you see that your child is actually being, on that journey of consolidation. All right. So why is it important? When your children go on a journey of consolidation, it helps your children build a growth mindset. Now, how another way apart from you building these conversations and all of that when they are young, as they grow older, because your home is a small, it's just a little part of what the world is. Okay, because your home just has a few people where when it comes to social connections, okay, when it comes to interacting with people, when it comes to all of this, your home does not have everything that it takes. So what you want to do is you want to put your children in environments, right? You want to put them in environments that fosters this same kind of development that we're talking about, environment that promotes self-development. All right, so if your child happens to be in a school that promotes self-development, sometimes we take our children to schools that are very strict, schools where the children are told what to do at every time and all of that, and we think that this is the environment that promotes that. No, such environment don't really, because what you have in that environment is more like a direct kind of thing. Your children are constantly forced to look, to be, to act, to do a certain way. Okay, so boundaries are there to direct children, but to keep everybody, within certain behavioral ways, right? And that's the same thing we should create in our homes. That's the same thing schools should create. But within those boundaries, children should be allowed to be free. Within those boundaries, they should be allowed personal expressions. Within those boundaries, they should be allowed to harness their potential. So whatever school or wherever you take your child, that does not allow your child personal expression, does not allow your child to harness their potential, does not allow them to be free in that secure and that structured environment, then you're not getting what it is. I mean, the child is not getting all that it is that the child needs for consolidation to kick in. All right. So you want to put your children in environments where they can have consolidation happening. So that's why these days we say, because in a lot of cases, we hardly have even school systems that have this kind of system going for them. A lot of school systems don't have it. Forget it. Look closely, you will see that some classrooms don't even have it. Your child can be in a classroom and your child cannot even be themselves in a classroom. In some settings, go check, look closely. You will see that your child practically lives a pattern from morning till he walks into the class to the end of the class, right? He lives a pattern. He cannot be an individual. There has to be the place of, the boundaries, and within those boundaries, your individuality is still allowed to pop, all right? So look around you and be sure, okay? Now, apart from that, you want to put them in systems, in mentorship systems. Yes, you want to put them in mentorship systems where they can actually grow with a group of people, where they can build all of these skills that we are talking about. All right. So we talked about it will allow them build a growth mindset. So when they are in a system where this is being taught and this is being, they're guided to live, and practice the things that will help them develop their mindset, then you are putting them in that place and consolidation is happening. Okay. For instance, in the mastermind circle, we have a system where every month we have a theme. In that month, we are definitely about each of these children understanding the role that they play in their own lives. And then we give them tools basically that allow them express themselves in this role. For instance, the children are honoring, themselves this week. So the kids are honoring themselves this week, and of course, they are cracking the code of honor basically this week. And it's a general so basically this is a general boundary that we have for them. Okay, we want you to focus and we want you to do what it is that you can do to to honor yourself. Look at yourself as an individual and honor yourself, because for you to honor other people, you must know how to honor yourself. All right. So one of the things they did today is they are going to fill a jar that they have created. And in that jar, they are going to have 3 things about themselves that makes them exceptional. 3 things that you just love about yourself. Love on yourself. Love on yourself. Write it down and put it in your love jar. Put it in your appreciate yourself, basically. Tomorrow we're going to have another tool that will point them. Now, we are not saying to them, appreciate yourself this way. We're saying to them, stop and look at yourself and do this. Now, imagine that your children have things that are pointers that point them to developing themselves in different ways like this every day throughout the year. Imagine that. You think that child is going to be the same like a child who just goes, sister, don't stand here. You can't go here. When the bell rings, you go out, you come in. When it's time, you sit down, you do this. No, it's not going to be the same. Okay, it's not going to be the same. And I'm not saying any system is not okay. But then again, are you about the child consolidating? Are you about the child beginning to direct, putting all they learn together and beginning to lead themselves with all that they now know? Then you need to put them in a system like we have in the mastermind circle where this can begin to happen. Okay, very, very key. The next one is it helps your children build or create healthy habits. Okay, when you put them in that place of consolidation, it now means that they know that they are taking charge of their lives. They know that they are important in their own lives. So what do we do with kingdom? I mean, with self-management in the mastermind, we have different activities that we have that enables your child take care of himself, manage himself, deal with himself, do things for himself. So when you are doing this, basically what you're doing is you are pointing your child to understand his role in his own life. It is you and it's not money. So we get to the point where your parents do not have to say to you about these things anymore. So imagine your child in a system where he is reminded, where he is prompted, right, to do this on his own, and so you don't have to be the one chasing him. So what it takes is it takes it from you. It takes the journey from your journey. When you put your children in systems like this, what you're doing is you are removing your child from your own journey. There is going to be the place where we consolidate, where we align basically. But each of us recognizes that we have our own journeys and we are each running our own journeys, basically. So you need your children to get to that point. And sometimes you need a separate system that is intentional about this to help them do this. If not, if you keep driving these things, it will still end up as the same thing, you driving it. So that's why you need to look for systems where you can trust. And so the systems can now hold your children accountable so that your children see themselves as running their own journey and basically not depending on you to micromanage or to be the one running or leading everything in their lives. Do you understand? Number three, it actually lays the foundation for healthy relationships. When you have children, I said before, your home is too small. Your home is too small. The world is bigger than your home. The world is bigger than your perspective. Now, when I said to give your children your perspective, always remember that yours is not the only perspective. So that's why I said, teach your children, this is who we are. This is our perspective. However, there are other people's perspective, and it doesn't necessarily mean that their perspective is wrong. So this is why I added and I said to you, because our values include that we do not discriminate other people or tell them what perspective they should have. So what do? We listen to their perspective and we allow ourselves, understand where they are coming from. Because I like to give the analogy, when you are looking at a tree from where you are standing, what you see is the view that you can see from where you are standing. So that becomes your perspective. Another person that is sitting somewhere else is going to see it from a different view. Okay, so your ability to listen to the person's perspective and say, oh, okay, I get it. This is your perspective. I get it. Of course, from where you're sitting, I can understand. And all of that, and you live it. It doesn't mean that you now drop your perspective and take the other person's own. No. Okay. But it's only when your children are on this journey of consolidation, when they begin to understand this thing and begin to understand civility. That's why your children now understand their perspective, other people's perspective, respect other people's perspective, and yet still hold their head up, knowing that, my perspective is mine and his angle where he's coming from, that's what he's seeing, and it's okay. I respect it. Okay. But then when your children are not in systems where these conversations are constantly coming and they have different perspective from different people who are like minds and they align, then they do not know how to build this social networks where they can actually align with people different perspectives from their own, but of course with common mindsets, basically. And this is what we offer your children in the mastermind circle. You should listen to our conversations in the mastermind circle. Amazing. You're wondering, sometimes I'm listening to these children and I'm wondering, Are these the children that I have been training? I mean, I'm listening to them. I'm like, are these 8-year-olds? Are these 10-year-olds? Are these really 13-year-olds? So I look at them and I'm really proud of what it is that we're doing with the children in the mastermind circle. All right, financial literacy and responsibility. Okay, our time is up. We need to go. Okay, but let me just share a story here. So I have just written 3 books. Okay, we have 4 books right now. Okay, that are out there. You should order. It's not pre-order anymore. So each of the books is going for 4,000 right now. But amazing books. You should get copies. So one of the books is Young and Money Smart. Okay, so our son was proofreading. Okay, so for every book that I write, I allow my children, I go through my books with my children first. So I get feedback from the children first before I hand it to your children. So when I tell you that is an amazing book, just take it from someone who is raising 2 voracious readers. Okay, so when I say it's an amazing book, just take it, because I've gotten feelers from my children, and my children are, when it comes to not being apologetic about their views, this is what they are. My 8-year-old would tell you, no offense, mom, but this is what I think. So when it comes to saying it as it is, they are sitting pretty on that table where they say it as it is. No. So when I tell you it's amazing, just take it as amazing. Okay. All right. So he had gone through the manuscripts, and so there is a part where we're talking about money. Right? It's a financial book. I mean, Young and Reside and the Money Smart. By the way, this book is not about, oh, you have this piggy bank, that piggy bank. That's not just, this book went for your child's mind. Because in the world where we are today, if you don't get financial knowledge and awareness from the mind, you will be putting your child in a place where every time they are analyzing what people are wearing, and they are using some of this very shallow, mediocre kind of thinking to analyze what wealth is and what it is that they should be aspiring towards. So if you don't go right for the mind of your child and give perspective, you will lose that child with what is going on today. With what is going on today, if you do not deal with the mindset, the abundance mindset, if you don't do this for your child, you are doing them a disservice. So our son had gone through the part of the book where we're talking about investments. Okay, it's for 10 years and above anyway. So while we're talking about investment and all of that, he finished reading and he turned his seat and he's like, oh, wow, mommy. So obviously then it means that currency actually leaks the value of your investment. It leaks the value of your hard work. It leaks the value of your money. Why money actually increases the value of what you have. Oh, okay. So I should actually buy gold instead of have money in my bank accounts. So meanwhile, our son has been running a business for 4 years. He's been selling juice for 4 years, 30 bottles, 20 bottles, 10 bottles, 10 bottles, and all of that. And then he's already thinking of an investment plan straight up, because he's looking at it and he's like, currency, it doesn't even matter. Even if it is the soul. We started a conversation. Can you see what about? I was talking about books and perspective. He said, even if it's the US dollar, it's actually a matter of time, isn't it? The US dollar as a currency would deplete value over time. It's just that it's not going to deplete value as fast as the Nigerian naira, because our naira the value is depleting faster. But it's a matter of time. In 10 years, in more years, it still depletes, over time. So, of course, currency is that money. So we are having this conversation, and he is able to take this conversation over to his father, who is, a more, has deeper insights when it comes to this kind of conversation, financial conversations. Now, what have I done? I have triggered a deeper insight when it comes to money with my teenager. And that's the whole idea. That's what I did in this book. I want to trigger conversations that go beyond human hair, iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone this, iPhone that. So, do you understand? We want to trigger conversations that goes beyond basic things, conversations that go beyond socializing your children and allowing your children serve the God of things. So if you have a child that is 10-year-old and above, please go and order the books. Go and order the books. I've been shouting since, order these books, order these books. You're looking at it. Oh, she's looking for money. Order books. Order the books. We've put ourselves into this book. This book will transform your child. And I'm not even mincing words. Okay, so we have this book and we have a student's guide to excelling beyond the classroom. Okay, why do I keep doing this with this book? Okay, so the second book is Unlock Your Child's Excellence, right? It's a student's guide to excelling beyond the classroom. I finished work on that book. See, and just go get the books for your children. So we have these two books and we have Playtime Stories for Champions. That's for your younger children, 0 to 8. But even your 10-year-old and 12-year-old can actually put activities together for their younger siblings. So this one is activities that will help your children build their mental capacity, and start this journey of consolidation that we're talking about. Very, very key. And then the last one is Christmas Stories for Champions. That one is just fun. Go tell stories about what Christmas was like. In all of our books, we want you to bless your children with the gift of perspective. We want to trigger conversations that will help you give your children perspective to all of these things. If you are not giving your children perspective, then pop culture will give them perspective. They will look at the video and they will conclude that this is all I need in this life. Do you understand? By the time I finished my conversation with our son, he understood that, oh, gold is not just about this or about that. Now he has a perspective, right? He has a different perspective. That's what we're talking about. Lastly, it will help your children cultivate a love for lifelong learning. When you put your children in the space where they begin to consolidate, every day is a learning opportunity. That's what it becomes. Every day becomes a learning opportunity. Every day becomes a reason to improve themselves. Every day becomes a genuine, your child genuinely wanting to be better because he knows that he is the number one beneficiary of the decisions that he makes and the choices that he makes today. He knows that it's not about you, it's actually about him, and that his life is his or hers to live, basically. So thank you very, 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 very much for being here today. So if you like to get our books, okay, if you're watching on YouTube, you like to get the book, we have the information on our screen right now. You can get a screenshot of it and then use the information to order your copy of these books. On Facebook, you can check in the comment section immediately after this video and you will have all that you need. Grab this book for your child. Grab this book for your nephew. Grab these books for your nieces. Buy it for your friends' children. Buy these books. They will change. And I'm not even, no caps. It will transform how your children are thinking about schoolwork and education being everything. They will begin to think bigger. And then, of course, their money mindset will move to an abundance place. Thank you very much for being here. We do not take it for granted. Let us know if you got value from this session. If you're catching the replay, if you're here right now, thank you, Grace. Oh, Lois, hi, Aisha. How are you doing? Hi, Mary. Hi, everyone who was here earlier, Rita and everybody. Thank you for joining us. Let us know if you got value from this session. If you'd like your children to enroll for the Mastermind Circle, we are still taking people for this year's cohort. After the 10th of December, we will shut down all registration into the Mastermind Circle and we will throttle for the rest of the year till September. But you can join the wait list for next year. But for now, you can still join us this year. Join and then we can move, for the rest of the year. For throughout next year up to September. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye. Bye.